Welcome to the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers of Washington and its monthly author showcase. I am Peter Stockwell.
And I am his partner in crime, Mark Miller. We have a bit of a different show today. Peter and I have been involved in this production coming up on 2 years now. So we thought it might be a good time to take a pause and review what we have done with Claw in the BCAT studios these past months, as well as inform the community on upcoming events.
We would also like to iterate with the BCAT audience what our overall concept, our mission of Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers is, and what it will be in the future. For this endeavor involves all of those people in the BCAT public access television audience.
First, a little trip down memory lane. Let's take a look at some of the productions and opening scenes of the past year. How did you actually begin your career as a writer?
Well, I've always written most of my life, probably since I was about 7. I had a story back then about the joys of housework, which was quite tongue-in-cheek. So, yeah, and I just do short stories for family and friends up to that point.
What have you done to become this Amazon best-selling author?
Well, mostly just writing a lot, but the bumps you're referring to, I think, are the biggest bump was my first publisher going out of business.
So how did you begin a career as a writer?
Well, I'm a retired police officer, and after I retired, I was bumping around the house and bored. And my husband said, you know, you've talked to me for years about stories, that how you would change an ending, and a story that particularly you had bouncing in your head. Write the story.
I'm going to start out with you, Ron, as the father. How did you first become involved in all of those various parts of the arts and entertainment community?
Well, I really owe a lot to my daughter because she was the one, she was singing and dancing all the time. I thought, hey, there's a theater ad, kind of like this one here I have on the table at Tacoma Musical Playhouse, and let's see if you really like theater. Let's see if you can.
Welcome to our broadcast for the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers.
Thank you, Peter. I'm so excited to be here.
Very good. Well, how did you get to begin this career as a writer?
By listening. My grandmothers told wonderful, wonderful stories, and I listened to those stories. I listened to Saturday morning radio shows like Let's Pretend, and I became a raconteur, which is a word.
Well, I sure enjoyed all those clips.
Well, that's true. We've had a very wide and various series of shows, I guess you'd call it.
And of course, we're always looking for more authors and artists, musicians to interview with Claw. And if you have any idea that you want to be on television, you can get a hold of either Mark or myself. And of course, our contact information will be in the credits at the end of this.
Claw has striven to present a cross-section of the arts with the people we interview. One such two-part interview was with film and literary arts producer Jennifer DeMarco and her wife and business partner, Bian. Jennifer, we've talked a lot of times on Facebook, and I'm going to let you introduce.
My special guest that I brought along with me today is my wife, Brianne, and the reason I really wanted her to be here, Mark, when we talked, is that for the last 6 years, Blue Forge Films, the face of Blue Forge Films has been me.
Right.
And Blue Forge Films is actually just one division under a larger creative group called Blue Forge Group, which is a federal nonprofit. And I would like Brianne to become the face of Blue Forge Films, especially for this year, because I need to step back from Blue Forge Films and focus on some of our other divisions. So I wanted to make sure that people got to hear from her today as well. From the very beginning, Brianne and I, because we had been running a print publishing house for many years together, we knew that there was going to be a bottom line. We had to make certain decisions, but going in, we said that we were going to make timeless work as opposed to timely work. So if a topic was trending or a genre was trending, we avoided it.
Oh, okay.
And the other thing is that, and I think I mentioned this a little bit in part one, we developed a proprietary script writing method, keeps the control in the hands of the writer. And instead of then bringing in a director and a cinematographer that then interpret a script, the script itself starts as a prose storyboard.
One of the things that Blue Forge Productions and Blue Forge Press is doing, in addition to a lot of the film work they've also started even a separate section involving comic artists and illustrators. So if anybody's interested in any of these unique artistic endeavors, I would get a hold of Blue Forge Productions as a means to further your possibilities of getting some of your work out there.
We also have interviewed Simon Calcavecchia, who has a unique story. After a serious and life-changing injury, he went on to write children's books about a dachshund with wheels instead of back legs and his yellow parakeet companion, Mustard.
I realized something special about this dog. He has 2 wheels but doesn't let it stop him. Yeah, I'm on a mission to follow my dreams. Look over there, I see some ice cream. Oh yeah, I love that stuff. Wally the walrus can't give us enough.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
How did you begin your career as a writer?
Well, that is a question that will take some time to answer because it's been a long time in development. It started with the experience of being 19 years old and pursuing a different passion of playing rugby. And I played rugby in high school, became very passionate about the sport, and at the end of my high school career, I had an opportunity to live out my dream of playing rugby in Sydney, Australia. My coach previously was Australian and he had all the right connections for me, and so he offered me the chance to go over there and live and play the game that I love. And so that's how the journey began, and while I was there, I ended up getting some bad advice during the season from one of the players who was trying to help me be a better player, but it ultimately led me to getting my head in the wrong position in a scrum, which is part of the rugby game. Yeah. And when I went into the scrum, my head was more to the side than down, and I hit my opponent's shoulder. It broke my neck at the C5-6 level, which means that I'm paralyzed from the chest down. This line that I'm creating, I have no function or feeling in my body. My hands are paralyzed, and my triceps are also paralyzed, so I can't raise my arm in this position. But my biceps and shoulders are both strong.
Simon and I spent a weekend at Moses Lake at their spring festival marketing our books, and we had a lot of fun. We were there also with Judy Green and her debut novel, The Grandma Syndrome. We also spent a week at the Washington Spring Fair down in Puyallup and had a great time marketing books there as well.
Is Simon got some other books in the works also?
He does have another book coming out this summer. It's going to be called Wheels and Waves. It is about his actual experience surfboarding.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Peter and I have also had a special show that we put on in October. I bugged him enough and he agreed, and we had a Halloween show. Vampires, werewolves, eaters, oh my.
We had authors read from their horrifying works, including Mark here, which resulted in one of our more popular broadcasts. And here's a clip. Welcome to the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers of Washington and its monthly author showcase. I am your host, Peter Stockwell.
Brains. Brains. Must have brains. You want a snack?
Delicious, delicious.
And I'm his partner in crime, Mark Miller.
We have a bit of a different show today. This is Claw's first annual Halloween on BCAT. Mark and I have been involved in this production for over a year now, so we thought it might be a good time to make a fun show. Today, we hope to highlight some of the more horrific and nasty and ghoulish excerpts from our works of our authors and artists.
Here, I even brought a critic along to share the fun. Say hello to Ratso. Or is he also a publisher? Never mind. First, to set the mood, we will have Mark Allen read from his excellent novel on vampires, Nocturnal. If this doesn't freak you out, nothing will.
Hello, I'm Mark Allen. I'm the author of the novel Nocturnal, a book about a 130-year-old vampire who saves the life of an undercover cop who's been targeted for assassination by a murderous drug cartel. Together, they take down the cartel one bloody piece at a time. They expose a traitor within the department, and they uncover a secret buried over 100 years in the past that binds their two fates together forever.
Next, we have Diane Gardner, artist extraordinaire, with a reading from the Lives of the Undead. You ready?
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Gardner, and I'm a longtime friend, well, not really a friend, associate. That doesn't work either. I'm an acquaintance of the Peablebodies who live up on the manor, up on the hill, the haunted house. I guess the whole town calls it that. I'm a little bit concerned about what's happening in the manor. I've noticed that Gerald Peablebody, who is the son of Benjamin Peablebody, who, by the way, is a pure-blooded vampire, his son has arrived from Louisiana with his sister-in-law and son, and they've moved into the manor. I've heard tell that Benjamin Peablebody has died, that there was a storm and a lightning struck a tree next to the house, and then a limb fell off and went through the roof and struck him right in the heart. I'm not sure whether I believe that story, but Gerald came over the other day with his father's journal, and he doesn't seem to believe the story either. He thinks that perhaps his father was murdered.
Next, I believe Mark Miller is here to present a piece from his science fiction series.
Cool. Hello, this is Mark Miller. Something that we don't often even think about as human beings, at least in our early days of exploration, is quite often when a culture or species shows up, we also bring along a lot of invasive non-native species. Well, of course, with the Tasha aliens invading the Earth and basically looking at us to be eaten, they probably didn't really care that much. However, sometimes when you bring invasive species along, it has horrific and unforeseen circumstances.
And not wishing to rest on our laurels, we plan on doing Halloween 2, The Return of the Undead, or is it The Unread? So any authors, writers, filmmakers, and artists who wish to participate, hit us up. We'll put you on TV, and we'll make sure that you have a good audience. And now on to the new and the future business.
Thanks to Peter's organizational skills and constant bugging of Barnes & Nobles, on June 16, 2018, Claw will have a special event at the Silverdale Mall.
Starting at 2 p.m., Claw and Barnes & Noble will be hosting a local authors panel with 9 authors in discussion. This will enable people to meet and hear some of the best authors we have in the Northwest that you haven't yet met. And we'll discuss their works, their trials, their tribulations and successes in putting thoughts on paper well, at least on computer screens until they get to book form.
Yes. And at this time, while we are filming with BCAT equipment, we will ensure that our sound is turned on as opposed to last year.
That goes back to our panel that we had the four of us that were there and we forgot to turn on the microphones.
Yes.
We recorded an entire hour's worth of discussion, and the only thing we got out of it was, so this time we will turn the microphones on. And on June 23rd of this year, at the Cafe Noir in Silverdale, Washington, starting at 10 a.m., there will be a group of independent local authors with their books and a barbecue. And if you come to Cafe Noir and support your local business and get to meet some of these authors. Claw is in the formative stages of also another major project involving the Kitsap Mall in Silverdale. If all goes well, on Black Friday and on the Black Saturday, the day after Thanksgiving, all of the mall from Sears all the way to Kohl's will be tabling authors and their literary works. People should be coming out to meet any of these authors and pick up books from Barnes & Noble, and then they will be signed so that all can have a great time for picking up their holiday presents, Christmas presents, whatever it is that they want to do.
So not only can you come there and get all those little special deals that we've all come in America to expect on quote-unquote Black Friday, you can also come and meet a lot of local authors and artists, writers, maybe even some filmmakers there, to be able to show people in Kitsap just what vibrant art community we have.
And of course, don't forget to come out to the Blackberry Festival in downtown Bremerton in September over Labor Day weekend, where we will be having a booth, and there will be 6 or 7 of us authors from the local area who will be having our books out for you to take a look at as well.
Claw is working on additional events to showcase the artistic talent in Kitsap County and the surrounding areas. For that is what Claw does. We exist to help all writers and artists in communicating with the public. Of course, without the excellent help of BCAT Studios, public access television, our efforts would be more limited. Claw is working on additional events to showcase the artistic talent in Kitsap County and the surrounding areas. But that is what Claw does. We exist to help all writers and artists in communicating with the public. Of course, without the excellent help of the BCAT Studios and public access television, our efforts would be more limited.
So all of these endeavors could not be completed definitely without the support of Bremerton Kitsap Access Television Studios, its staff and its management. What I get to do once I get one of these raw pieces of material is I get to edit this. I have a program at home. I cut it up into little bitty pieces that make it work, and then we put it back together and we send it off to the Bremerton Kitsap Access Television Studio, and they broadcast. And they will broadcast every Saturday at 6 o'clock on our show.
In addition to that, they even occasionally let us check out some of their film equipment to go out in the field.
As long as we know how to turn the sound on.
Yes, and as long as I don't break it trying to put it back in the package like I did once when I came back here to the BCAT Studios, just to show that we are humans and not some artificial beings.
Yeah, like that
Westworld.
Westworld. We at Claw have a mission statement to help authors and artists become known to the public, to expose their artistic endeavors to the residents of Kitsap County and to the world. Thus, we plan to continue this endeavor as long as the BCAT staff and the viewing public support us.
Claw exists for the artists, the authors, the painters, the filmmakers, to help with marketing, distribution, and publicity. We meet the first and third Wednesdays of every month at Spiro's in Kitsap Way in Bremerton, Washington at 7 p.m. All are welcome. On the second Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m., the affiliated Kitsap Peninsula Film Group meets at the Family Pancake House on Wheaton Way in Bremerton. All people interested in film and all its related subjects are also welcome there.
We are not the only group out there. There are many independent writers and critique groups in Western Washington.
Vincent at 724 Studios and 724 Bay Street in Port Orchard is not only showcasing painters, but also sponsoring local authors reading their works.
This broadcast interview is scheduled for June at 6 p.m. every Saturday evening on Channel 3 on Wave Cable and Channel 12 on Comcast. It also is going to be streamed live through the BCAT website at bkat.org at the same time, and that is Pacific time. So keep in touch with your Facebook pages for our updates on whatever Kitsap artists we think we will be interviewing in the future. And I hope everyone has a pleasant day and a productive and fascinating year. And until next time, I am Peter Stockwell with Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers in conjunction with Bremerton Kitsap Access Television and
Mark Miller, his partner in crime.
And we want to wish you both a good day.